guys, and welcome to a new video. As you can see today, I'm not alone. I'm here with the amazing author, Ruta Sepetys. Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome to Romania.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Is this your first time here?
It is my first time in Romania, and I can already tell you it will be the first of many times.
Ruta is the author of Between Shades of Grey and Soul to the Sea. And Between Shades of Grey has been translated into Romanian as Printre, cenusii, as I'm sure all of you know. Could you tell us something about the book, about Between Shades of Grey?
Yeah, definitely. Growing up in the States with this name, Ruta Sepetys, I felt very misunderstood. And I wanted to write the book to share the history of countries that experienced Soviet occupation, and to maybe share a bit of what that was like. So the book focuses on a 15-year-old Lithuanian artist who's arrested with her mother and younger brother and deported to a labor camp in Siberia. And the book not only chronicles her struggle to survive, but her struggle to retain faith in mankind amidst this terror.
Yeah. And speaking of chronicles, because this is a historical novel, how was the research process for you?
The research process was exciting and devastating. I don't have a background in journalism, and I don't have a background in personal therapies, psychological therapy, and meeting with survivors, people who experienced something so painful. And then here I was asking them to share those details, and they were so brave. And so I couldn't have written the book without them. Those details wove their way into the characters.
Do you happen to know if any of the survivors you talked to read your book after publication?
Well, initially when I wrote the book, because I was writing a book for what I thought would just be the American marketplace, I thought that they would never have a chance to read the book because it wouldn't be published in the Lithuanian language. Well, about a year after the book was published, Lithuania decided that they were going to publish the book, which was so exciting to me. And I went on tour in Lithuania, and it was so beautiful because some of the survivors who had requested to remain anonymous, they wanted to share the story, but they didn't want me to use their name. They came to the events, and there they were holding the book, and they recognized themselves in the story. And all of a sudden, they didn't want to be anonymous anymore, and that was so great.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And I know that you also have some personal connections to this story, right? So part of your family was involved, unfortunately, in these events. And I heard somewhere that you said that Jonas, for example, in a way was based on your grandfather? Okay.
Yeah, exactly. I'm the daughter of a Lithuanian refugee. My father fled from Lithuania when he was a small boy because my grandfather was in the Lithuanian military, and when the Soviets occupied, that was a dangerous situation to be in. And yes, so I not only wove the survivors' testimonies in. When my family fled, my grandfather's extended family, his relatives, were deported to Siberia. And so even though I didn't have their story, which was painful, they had perished and I wasn't able to get their particular story, I wove elements of my own family. And Jonas is one example. Try to imagine what my grandfather would have been like as a young boy. And that helped me create the character of Jonas. And Lina is named after my father's aunt. So yeah, I have some personal connections in the story.
Okay, this one is going to be a bit of an unfair question, I have to admit. So
okay,
I know that for an author, every book is like a Horcrux, okay? You put a bit of your soul in your book. But do you feel that there is one character in Between Shades of Grey or Soul to the Sea which has more Ruta in it than other characters?
Oh, wow. That's a great question. It's a great question because as I write the book, people ask, is the main character here? Are the main characters you? They're not. I think they're people that I dream to be and that I would love to be, but maybe I don't have the courage. So I would say that, yeah, maybe I am most like my favorite character, Kretsky. That,
I wish we had more of him, I have to admit.
well, I just think that he has complexity to him, but in a really natural way.
Yeah.
And I think in these situations of war and adversity and occupation, we tend to define people in the extremes. We make two columns, and there's good or evil. But I'm not sure that's always the case.
Yeah,
I think more often it's what's in between. And Kretsky, he inspired the original title, Between Shades of Grey.
And for me, at least, your book was extremely cinematic as well. So it didn't only have the rhythms, but I felt like I was watching the movie developing in front of me. Were you ever afraid that it was too vivid, too much, that it was too raw for your younger audience, maybe?
Well, in some of the countries that I'm published in, I'm not published for young adults for that exact reason.
Okay.
I'm considered an adult author, like in Italy. My
Yeah.
books are only published for adults. However, this final edition of the book, I revised it so much for that particular reason.
Okay.
It was so intense and so frightening. The first draft of the book was dramatically different, and so I feel now that I've toned it down quite a bit.
Okay.
And to me, and especially for the people who experienced this terror, the stories that they described to me were so harrowing, were so frightening, that in the first edition of the book, everything was harrowing or frightening, and I didn't have any balance of hope or love. So, so here's the other thing. I know it is frightening and raw, but I believe that younger readers have a sense of emotional truth, and the way they read is perhaps a bit different. Younger readers than, let's say, elderly readers or older readers, and that's the audience that I want to discover in this book and this history, to take it forward into the future.
Yeah, exactly. It's very important for younger audiences to know these stories and to enjoy them in a way. And speaking of films, I know that both Between Shades of Grey and Soul to the Sea are being turned into productions, okay? How do you feel about that? How involved are you in the process? How excited are you?
Well, I know many authors, they don't want their novels adapted into films because they fear that they might be ruined somehow. I feel the exact opposite. I am so incredibly excited. And for Salt to the Sea, it's in initial stages, so it's just starting. Between Shades of Grey, the film adaptation, we're wrapping it up. And it has been the most exciting, surreal experience. How involved have I been? I was involved in choosing the director, and the director has made me an executive producer.
Wow.
And so I've been involved with every step, from choosing a screenwriter, reading the drafts of the screenplay. Ben York-Jones is our screenwriter. They involved me in casting. And imagine how exciting it is to be sent a video audition of an actor auditioning for a fictional character that you created, but based on real people. I would watch those auditions and I would cry and cry. And also the other amazing thing is, imagine seeing an actor that you know, who's really famous from a TV show or movie, auditioning for this film about, a small Soviet-occupied country. Oh my gosh, it was so heartwarming. And so we're editing the film now, and Veronica Genet, who is an Oscar-nominated editor for The Piano, and she also did Rapid Proof Fence, so she's our editor, and they've been sending me clips, and I saw the first edit of the film 2 weeks ago.
Wow, and when does it come out? When can we enjoy it as well?
In the middle of 2017.
I'm very excited for that. Yeah. It's going to be amazing. Let's talk a bit about Salt to the Sea. It hasn't been translated yet. It's to be published very, very soon, right? Okay. I haven't read it, so could you tell us something about this book?
Yes. Everyone has heard of the Titanic.
Yeah.
This leisure cruise ship that so tragically sank in 3 hours, and 1,500 people lost their lives. But near the end of World War II, there was a massive evacuation. And civilians from this region of East Prussia, which is now Poland, they were trying to escape. And the only way to escape was over water. And a large cruise ship was commandeered for this evacuation. It was called the Wilhelm Gustloff. And the ship held 1,400 people. But when it sailed, it was carrying 10,000 people.
Okay.
It was torpedoed during the night by a Soviet submarine, and 9,300 people lost their lives. It sank in 60 minutes. It is the single largest maritime disaster in history, 9 times the magnitude of the Titanic, but it was concealed from the world.
I've never heard about it, to be honest.
And I hadn't heard of it either, and that's the story behind Salt to the Sea. So I have 4 teenagers, 2 guys and 2 girls, and they're all hunted and haunted. And as they evacuate and make their way to the port, their fates converge as they board the ship.
I'm really excited to read it, especially because I heard that you use different point of views, and that for me is amazing. So whenever I get that, I'm hooked.
I tell the story in alternating chapters, alternating point of views of these 4 characters, and I have to tell you, I don't know if I would do it again. It was so hard. It sounded like a great idea, and I had already told my publisher that I was going to do this, and I said, yes, do it. And then I got into it, and I thought, no way. Oh my God. But yes, I persevered, and I did it.
Okay, and my last question. This channel is all about recommendations, okay?
Yes.
So I recommend my viewers books. They recommend books in the comments all the time. I would like to ask you what your favorite book is, but I know that is a very difficult question.
It is a difficult question, but it's only a difficult question because I have so many favorite books, and I read widely across so many genres. But some of my favorite, let's say like a favorite historical, would be A Northern Light by Jennifer Donnelly. That might be something they haven't heard of. Or Jellicoe Road by Melina Marchetta, which isn't historical, but one of my award-winning book. And then on the adult historical side, there's a beautiful novel, All the Light We Cannot See, that came out last year. I don't know if it's published in Romania yet. It's gorgeous and lyrical, and I just love it. And then you might be surprised to hear that I love thrillers.
I understand.
To me, I think it is so masterful if a writer can unnerve someone with writing. I mean, think about it. In a book, in a TV show rather, or a movie, they show us the scene, and it's easy to frighten us with music and to create suspense. But in a book, that's so artful. And Kenneth Opel, his book The Nest, which is for younger readers, was really unsettling, which I loved. And then I love older writers like Daphne du Maurier, who wrote Rebecca and The Birds, and Shirley Jackson, and so I love thrillers as well.
And what book is on your nightstand right now? What are you reading at the moment?
If you could see my nightstand,
I would love to see your nightstand.
Oh my gosh. But right now, on my nightstand is a draft of a new book by an American young adult author, Courtney Stevens. And the book is called Dress Codes for Small Towns, and it won't be released until next year, and I have an early gallery of Courtney's Dress Codes for Small Towns, so I'm really excited about
It's amazing.
If you know Courtney, she is amazing. And so I know the book is going to be absolutely fantastic, and it's the type of book that I know I'm going to love, so I set it aside to read it in one sitting.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's going to be fantastic.
Okay, thank you very much, Ruta. These were my questions. Do you have any message for your readers?
I do. My message is as follows, that an author has nothing without readers. And there's nothing more important than your interpretation of the book. So some of you might read the book, and some of you will love it, some of you will hate it, and you're all right. Books belong to the readers, and we're in a creative partnership. I'm giving the text, but you're creating the characters, and you're creating the setting. And so I have the best job in the world, and I'm so grateful to you. And so grateful to you.
And I'm very, very thankful to have had this opportunity. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Guys, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give myself and Ruta a big old thumbs up this time, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.
Bye.